Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Riche Life. This week, I'm joined by professional organizing expert Jessica Littman, who's a fellow Better Homes and Gardens style maker. She's been named an organizing expert by People magazine. She's also been featured in Parents magazine. You can actually catch her in the latest issue talking all things organizing, because that's what we need right now. We're all at home and we're all trying to figure out how to make this work, how to get organized, not only for back to school, but how to stay organized throughout the entire year, right? Please don't tell me I'm alone in that. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with lots of great, easy to implement tips from Jessica. Welcome, Jessica, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is so good to see you again. I feel like we always see each other at the coolest places.
Always. I know.
Yes. And now you're here on the Riche Life, which is the coolest. But before we get into everything, I just want to say thank you. I know things have got to be super busy right now with people pulling you in all different directions. In the middle of a pandemic, everyone's at home. Everyone wants to get organized, right?
Everyone wants to get organized. Oh, yeah.
So what are the biggest challenges that people are bringing to you? Now, I have you on here because I want you to give my audience great advice, but in full transparency, I have a lot of things I need to work out too. So I'm going to throw at you a lot of hard questions, really selfish motivations here. But in a general sense, what are the challenges that people are bringing to you right now?
That is such a great question. A lot of people, right now it's August, back to school. So many people are asking about workspaces or, desk options, how they can work from home. That has been the biggest thing that everyone is just like, wait, what about this? What about that? So the home office workspace has been huge.
Yeah. I feel like in March, I'm used to working from home. You're used to working from home. Yep. But in March, it was like, everyone has to work from home and everyone has to learn from home. So we just were kind of thrown into things, but I think we have now a great opportunity to sort of press reset, right? Now that we know what we're getting into. So what's your best advice for people who have multiple people at home during the day and not really a whole lot of space for people to have their individual places to work and learn?
That is such a great question. Honestly, wherever you can, kind of find space, and you don't need a formal desk. Like if you think about the kiddos at school, a lot of times they might be sitting on the floor. So maybe purchasing some lap desks for them so they can work. But they're not totally, all in the same space. Even nice cushions, or, little arm chair, or just some fun other seating options with the lap desk is perfect for smaller spaces. Also, creating something for the dining room table. We've seen a lot of people that have turned their dining room table into their command center, but then when it's time to eat, they have nowhere to eat. Yeah. So to create some storage space that you can take all of that, clean up at the end of the day, and then you still have your table for that purpose.
So I want to thank you for those tips. I want to talk about the whole cleanup at the end of the day. Now, I know that I function better when I can start in the morning with a clean slate. Even though my desk looks all kinds of messy throughout the day, I need that. But sometimes it isn't so easy. At the end of the night, you're exhausted. What advice do you give people who want to do that, have a clean space at the beginning of the day, but maybe are not as organized as you are, or maybe they're organizationally challenged like many of us? So what do you say?
I say when you end your day, include an extra 5 to 10 minutes into your end of workday routine, and include cleaning up your desk. Even if it's just straightening up your piles of paper, just add that 5 minutes extra to the end of the day. And I know it's hard because our work days are not looking normal.
Right.
But when you're like, okay, I'm closing my computer, close your computer and just tidy up, just put the pens away, straighten up those piles. And then you don't really have to worry about, waking up and like having piles of paper everywhere. Everything's it looks neat.
Okay. So you're saying work that into the routine. Don't work yourself to death, be exhausted, and then have no energy left to do it.
Exactly.
Okay. That makes so much sense. Now, I recently saw the workspace that you created for your kids who are almost 8, like Riley's almost 8, your son's almost 8, and your daughter's 6. So tell us a little bit about your space. For those of us who do have the space, what are some of your favorite things that you've done in that room to really make it fun as it can be for the kids at home and as organized as possible?
Yes. So that workspace, I love it so much. We use filing cabinets to hold up a desktop. And because of that, we have a lot of space. We have a lot of drawers, and it fits all 3 of us. So that was kind of like the goal, was that all 3 of us had a space and we had drawers. So if you have like our room is actually in our mud room. So on one wall is like our cubbies and on the other wall is the desk. So because of that, we have like a long wall, and really giving as much storage space as we could by using the, the sides of the desk, if you will, like they are the filing cabinets.
Right. Okay.
So we gave ourselves all this extra storage because of that, where not every desk has that kind of option. So if you need a lot of storage space, look for desks that have like drawers on the side, or even using the filing cabinets is great.
So I love that idea. So you had filing cabinets, and then where'd you get your desktops?
That is from the Container Store.
Okay. So for those of us out there who can't find the ideal desk, you can just make one.
Yes.
Super simple, right? Did you already have the filing cabinets, or did you buy kind of everything together?
Yes, it was gifted from the Container Store. So that's had this vision, and they were like, I love this. This works fantastic. So I got to create it with the Container Store. But I got the inspiration from IKEA, and I had a client who created a 2-seater desk in between her kids' bedrooms. And she created it with IKEA products. And then I was like, well, I'm going to try this with the Container Store products. And it worked wonderfully.
We have people who use their kitchens, their dining rooms. So what are your best tips for keeping the spaces that are most commonly used, whether they're used for learning or for congregating or eating, what have you? What are your best tips when everyone is at home for keeping those spaces mostly organized? I mean, not perfect, but organized enough so that we can all live with ourselves.
Honestly, label everything. I know that sounds so crazy, but over label everything, because I'm thinking like my kitchen is to the left of me. And so I'm just thinking of kitchens, especially with so many people around, that over labeling the kitchen, like label the drawers and label where spoons go, label where forks go, especially with like younger kids, like our kiddos' age. That just helps them like figure out where things should go, or where it needs, if they're helping out, like emptying the dishwasher or putting something away, then you don't have a significant other or children that are like, well, I don't know where it goes. So then they just throw it somewhere.
Right.
Everything is labeled. So you're like, well, you should know where that goes. Read the drawer.
Yeah. Okay. I really like that. I was just recently reading an article about sort of how to bring down your level of expectation when you're dealing with particularly children. And it's like, we're all at home. Mommy is not going to clean everything. You have to take part in this, but then we can't really expect them to do it if we don't at least give them some guidance, reasonable guidance to do it. Now, for those of us out there who say we're organizationally challenged, so the funny thing is, to everybody out there watching, you see what I do. You see, I like to put some style and everything, but I am not the most organized person at all. And that comes to us as a surprise to a lot of people because of what you see. But trust me, this is all this is all for you. I keep it organized because I want you guys to see an organized space. Also, I do work better when things are organized, but that doesn't come naturally to me. So I have to work hard at it. So what do you say, Jessica, to those of us out there who have to work hard at it? Like, how can we keep things manageable? What are like just some basic tips to keep us organized, to keep us not getting frustrated trying to strive for perfection, but just honestly like maintaining?
I would say just start with a baseline and start with your bedroom. I like what you're saying, I do better when things are organized. Most people do. Your brain actually, there's like so much research on this. Your brain does better when you are sleep in an environment that is tidy. So if you start in one spot, say your bedroom, you don't have things on your counters, you give yourself like a really nice, tidy space, that will start to spill over in other areas of your house because you'll start to see it. So mostly just start in one space and start eliminating things. Most of the time, people that feel like they're not organized have an overflow of extra stuff.
Okay.
And so when you start to remove extra stuff, you start to give yourself breathing room to realize you actually are organized. You just had too much stuff.
Yeah, I could totally see that. And I love what you said about the bedroom. My bedroom actually doesn't have that much stuff. Like that's my Zen place.
Yeah.
I feel like it's my office spaces that I have too much. And so I have labeled this summer the summer of decluttering. Like that is my thing. I mean, again, another opportunity that I found inside the pandemic. Like I just don't need all this stuff. And I also think when you have too much stuff, there's just too many options, right? Like in your closet, like, do you really need all those clothes? And in my office space, it's like, okay, especially now that I'm doing more filming, like in my studio, I realize like, I don't actually need all this stuff and I can't work with all this stuff. So decluttering is so big for me right now. So I want you to talk about that a little bit, like decluttering 101. Like, are we still doing the touch everything and once, or keep what you love? Like what are your things? Like what are your best tips for basic decluttering?
I personally don't believe in touching it once and deciding. I think I've had a lot of people that have had sentimental items that is too hard of a topic or too hard of a mindset, and then they get overwhelmed. Yeah. So for me, I'm like, tell me what its purpose. Ask yourself, like, what is this item's purpose? Sometimes you do need to pick it up. Sometimes you can just look in the closet and be like, there is no purpose to these were trendy, they're done. And you can just look and you can see other things you do need to hold and figure out, does this serve its purpose that I need it for? Am I using it for this purpose? I just spaced on another question that I usually ask. Do I want this in my future? So if you are organizing or decluttering, do I want to have to deal with this thing again? Because most of the time you're like, wait, I don't want to have to move this again. Because that's what's going to happen if you keep it and you don't use it. And then from there, just really go and like, okay, if I have an item that's meaningful, for me, I have a bunch of my grandma's teacups. And so I got a lot of her china, but I didn't need all of the china. So I kept the teacups and I display them.
Me too. I have that in common. We have to share pictures. Sorry.
Yes, we do. I love that. Yeah. So to me, like holding on to that, I asked myself, am I using it for its purpose? Well, no, because I'm not using it for tea. Right. I love the look of it. So I can display it and then see it. It's not sitting in storage. And because of that, then we can, enjoy a piece of, from my grandma that I really encourage people to think about that as well. Like if you have something that you're like saving for a rainy day, or you're saving for this, you know, or a lot of my clients have been like, well, I'm holding on to this piece of artwork for when we redo the house. And I was like, well, then just put it up now. Like you said you're going to do the house in like 5 years. Well, put it up now. Well, it doesn't go with the paint color, then paint the room. Like you have the space for 5 more years before you have your grand plans of renovating. A lot can happen in 5 years. I mean, look at what has happened in like, what, 6 months?
Right. That's such a good point. So enjoy it now, right?
Exactly. Do it now, hang it up, paint. Paint is the easiest thing to switch out. Like you just go like that, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Just stick up some paint, stick up the picture, and then you could enjoy it, and you're not holding on to something in like your storage area that's just sitting there.
Do you have any tips for places where we can donate these things, or should we just trash them? I mean, I hate to do that if they're things that someone else could benefit from, but I'm just curious. I don't have any idea where to put these things. I have boxes like, okay, I need to take this somewhere, but I don't know where.
So first thing, go on Google and Google donation centers near me.
Okay.
And a lot of places like churches, there's a lot of like local organizations. I'm in Chicago, so we have a ton of organizations around this area. I know, Richie, you're still in DC, right?
Yeah.
So there are a ton of organizations in that area that will take it, that people don't always think about, because you don't always know that some of these local organizations need your things. Here in Chicago, there is a local organization that needs kids' toys. And so a lot of people just think, oh, I'm just going to go drop it off at Salvation Army or Goodwill.
Yeah.
But this local organization, the footprint that you're actually making with the toys and then where it goes to is a lot smaller and staying local. So I really encourage people just to go Google donation centers near me, or type in your zip code, and then Google will just like list all of those organizations. Call one.
Thank you. That is super helpful. I am on a huge mission to get everything accomplished before September 8th, which is when school starts.
Us too.
Here. So I will be doing this right now. All of these things that I'm saying this, but this means not just one thing, but you gave us a ton of things to do. And I really am going to take this seriously. I hope that those of you out here who are watching will join me on this journey, because I just feel better mentally when I have a clean space and organized. Well, clean is relative. I like clean, but I also really like organized. And so, like I said, it doesn't come naturally to me, but I think these are some really easy tips to implement. So I want to get back before we go. I want to make sure that we know again where we can check out your Organized Kids Academy course. Tell us where we can find that. And then also tell us about your other course too, because I know you've got one for a broader audience as well.
Yes, both of them can be found on my site. The Organized Kids Academy is for kids, teaching them how to organize 5 different areas of your home. Plus, there's an adult section that teaches you how to set expectations for your kids so that you can maintain an orderly home. And my other course right now, there is a wait list, is called the Tidy Home with Kids framework. Had to think about that for a second. And that one is probably going to be launching in about October. Okay. So really excited to do that. That is for adults wanting to organize when you have more than one person living in your space. It's really geared towards all of that. So all of those can be found on my site, theorganizedmama.com.
Thank you again, Jessica, for joining us. Everyone out there, make sure that you follow her. She does lives on her Instagram and Facebook, right?
Yeah, every Tuesday.
Yeah, so I feel like every time I go on those platforms, I see you. So if you want to interact with Jessica, make sure you check her out. Again, at it's theorganizedmama.com is your website. Facebook is
Organized Mama.
Okay, Organized Mama. And then Instagram is
Organized Mamas.
Organized Mamas. Yes, let's all be organized mamas together. And if you haven't done so already, make sure that you subscribe to the Riche Life too, so that you can stay up to date with all of the latest. Until next time, take care, everybody.